Canada's top scientist is recommending the government create a new department to look into unidentified flying objects. The Chief Science Advisor's office says Canada should establish a dedicated agency to collect and probe reports. It says several government departments are routinely notified of UFO sightings but rarely investigate them. Other recommendations include making records publicly available, combating disinformation, and creating tools for data collection. The report comes after unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UFOs, became the focus of recent investigations by both the Pentagon and NASA. Let's bring in CTV science and tech expert Dan Riskin. Dan, good morning to you. Back from vacation, perfect subject to return to. What do you make of this? A dedicated agency just to look into what, over 1,000 reports from Canadians every year?
Yeah, no, this is a nerd's dream, because the only thing more interesting than the UFO reports themselves is the infrastructure in place to manage those reports. Because I know it sounds nerdy, but a big part of this is trust, right? Everybody's always believed that the government's hiding the fact that aliens have been here and living among us. And you know, every time there's secrecy or any kind of friction in the relaying of what you see and telling the government about it, and then the government being transparent about what they've been told, it just feels like a cover-up. And so it negates the trust and just makes people more curious. And so it's really important that there is a good infrastructure in place so that people feel like what they're reporting is being shared. And this works really well with animal sightings. We have all kinds of public science document ways of sharing. If I see a coyote in Toronto, I can put it on an app called iNaturalist, and it's shared with everybody else in Toronto. There's total transparency, and it's just very trustworthy. So I have a good sense that there's no big cover-up about how many coyotes are really living in Toronto. With UFOs, we need that kind of infrastructure. And so what this report does is lay the groundwork for how that's going to work going forward.
And have this under potentially the Canadian Space Agency, which would, I think, take away some of the stigma, correct? And like, it wouldn't seem so kind of wacky. I hate to say that, but it's true.
That is, but what you're saying is the point. I mean, it does sound wacky. When you say UFO, everybody goes, oh, yeah, UFO, sure. So they've even gotten rid of the UFO, and now they call them UAPs. They've changed the letters so that everybody can say it without feeling embarrassed. But nonetheless, as you indicated, this report says there are between 600 and 1,000 sightings of unidentified things in the sky every year by Canadians. 600 to 1,000 of them, and only 10% of those are reported. And 40% of people don't know where they should report it. And that's a good question, because it's not clear. And so the main big sort of point from this is that it should be very clear to everybody where these things get reported, and there should be a really clear system of holding on to these things and making them accessible so that people can use it. So if I use that app that I mentioned, when I see a coyote, I use iNaturalist. Everybody knows that if they want to see the coyote sightings, that's a great resource to use. And so it needs to be very clear if an airline pilot is flying over Saskatchewan and sees something strange in the sky, it should be very clear to them where they report that so that everybody can have access to those data.
Is there a counter argument to be made here, Dan? I'm wondering if it's going to become a hotline for potential hoaxes.
Yeah, I mean, like any data set, there's always the possibility that people are going to try to put spurious data in there, that somebody's going to say, oh, we're going to have a good prank and we'll all make everybody pretend that you saw something on this day. But those kinds of problems are not new to data science. And there are ways to sort of to weed those out with statistics. And, you know, you've got to have a system in place. I think the other big argument against doing this would be national security. So what if there's some kind of a military operation happening that people shouldn't know about because its secrecy is part of the key to its success? Well, that's a hypothetical, and those are the kinds of hypotheticals that get people worried about sort of a deep state sort of conspiracy idea. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but there's been no statement from this report that suggests that's the case in Canada. And, you know, the other thing is we have the opportunity here to be a leader in the world. There's no country that has a good system in place for this. And so it wasn't like, oh, just do what Chile does because they've got it figured out. Chile does not have it figured out, nor does the US, nor does Russia, nor does Morocco. I mean, nobody's got this. And so if Canada can really do this right, this is a great opportunity to lead in science, which is something Canada has been handed in the last year because of the sort of collapse of science to our neighbors to the south. We have an opportunity here for Canada to step up and really be a leader in this space.
CTV science and tech expert Dan Riskin. Great to see you today, Dan. Appreciate it.
Great to see you. Thanks a lot.